Good morning, afternoon, IBC, day 4. How are we feeling? That is such a day 4 thing. Day 4. Hello, everybody. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for being here today, coming to IBC, keep supporting our media technology production industries. My name is Mookie Colley. I'm the innovation lead for the IBC Accelerator Media Innovation Program, which you can find just on the other side of this wall. What the program is a framework for the network to come together and really explore common industry challenges that we're all just trying to figure out. It's normally led by the champions, who are traditionally broadcasters, large tech companies, studios, academia. Then an open call goes out to participants, who are the vendors or suppliers who step up to the table to provide solutions to explore. Myself and my colleague Mark Smith help facilitate the teams to find the right synergies. And then 8 projects go through of what you see on the other side. And a really super short, fast track sprint is done within a few months' time to develop proof of concepts and really explore. It's living R&D. There's no wrong answers. We're not setting to try out to develop one project or one platform. And what these accelerator sessions are to really go through these learnings, and it's warts and all, and we're so happy to talk about it and really reveal these teams. But before we do, this is the last day of IBC, and I just want to get us together if we're able to sing Happy Birthday to Rui. Are we ready for that? Don't look at me like that. You're North American. You can participate. Ready? 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. We'll do it real fast. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Rui. Happy birthday to you. Thank you. And many more jazz hands. Right, guys, ladies and gentlemen, happy birthday, Rui. Don't go changing. Okay, I've never met Rui, by the way. I don't even know who he is. So, without further ado, this is the last IBC Accelerator session. So again, thank you so much for sticking with it. And just another caveat. So when we have these projects go through, myself and Mark Smith are across all 8. And then I end up like executive producing 4 of them. So when you see me talking on stage, we've all been together for like the last 6 months working on these things. So without further ado, we're going to have a massive round of applause starting from this side to bring up my speakers. Andy Hook, the technical director of D&B Solutions. D&B Solutions, white line. Whoop, whoop. Okay, there we go. Keep the applause going, please. Christine Marsh from Bowie State University and Primavera Labs. Keep it going. Rob Oldfield, co-founder and CEO of Salsa Sound. Mike Whitaker, Chief Technology Officer of OuterNet Global. Once again, my name is Mookie. I'm here to show and tell our final showcase session. I'll get this little cheat sheet up here, too. So basically, I've just explained the program. We've sung Happy Birthday to Rui. Let's get stuck in, okay? So thank you, guys, for joining us. How are we feeling on day 4?
Excellent.
We're still alive. We're still alive. I don't remember.
So it's like a combination of a Frankenstein, Tonto, Lone Ranger, Madrigal. Okay, maybe just in my head. Right. Now, can you pass the clicker there, please? Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So, the way we mentioned applications for the accelerators usually start right after IBC, the next week or so, and the challenges go out. And about 40, 50 applications are coming, and they get whittled down to about 12 that get presented at Kickstart Day. 8 go through, and when these consortiums form, they really do become dream teams. So the champions on this project was lovely enhanced with lots of academia focus around Bowie State University, King's College in London, Trinity College Dublin, a returning champion, both of them, Vodafone Group, University of Southampton, Primavera Labs, a startup coming out of Washington, D.C., and OuterNet Global, which is a gigantic, Mike is here with us at OuterNet, can explain, gigantically connected venue at the top of Tottenham Court Road in London, and several opening up around the world. And then RVPA, which is a really nice mini consortium of a variation of colleges, universities in California exploring XR and VR and AR. Participants include AMD, who, a big round of applause for AMD, by the way, are one of our sponsors of the accelerators, as well as Microsoft. Hear Me Cheer, who are, you'll Hear Me Cheer, D&B, Salsa Sound, Spark Up, Human Digital Movers. We're going to get straight into it and explain like a little bit more. So I wanted just to quickly touch on how a lot of these accelerators, you start to explore the projects, you start to start to really understand what you really want to do. Next thing you know, you have to turn in the materials, and the week after that's IBC. So you start to, like, in true living sandbox R&D, you realize what you need to be doing like a week before you're turning it in. You know that there's so much more to do. So oftentimes what happens is that the explorations start to happen, and then groups are kind of reformed and remerged and morphed from one project to another. So this project is a project on its own, very bespoke, however influenced by previous projects, which, as you can see here in 2020, 5G location-based VR around virtual realities. Obviously, in 2020, if anyone remembers that year, seems like so long ago, Andy, as we make eye contact, you couldn't really do the L and the B, right? It was really, really difficult. 2021 location-based XR, which actually won the Accelerator Project of the Year award. And then into 2022, around the arena of the Future for XR events, which is exploring augmented reality and contact sport and virtual advertising and multi-venue fan experiences too. However, this project had many objectives that were enhanced from the previous years, but really had a clear vision of what they set out to do for 2023. And Christine, welcome. Welcome. Your first IBC.
It is, yes.
And your first time as a champion.
Yes.
Good. Thank you so much for pitching this in the first place. And we know we met Metaverse Combat Labs and your colleagues in various parts of the world, but we'd love for you to kind of like give us a review of what the project originally set out to do.
So the original plan for our project was to capture real-time sports, specifically martial arts. And the challenge there, of course, is that it's a very fast-moving sport. But the additional level of difficulty is to relay that information or that performance to audiences also in real time. So it's a lot of information, and it's going to multiple destinations, to location-based entertainment, as well as VR headsets and computers and mobile devices. That was the plan.
Yes.
Then we're also looking at bringing in extra level of fan engagement. But the main thing that we're trying to do is capture the likeness of the fighters and put them in a virtual reality environment to enhance the experience again for the fans.
Exactly. So many challenges coming into it. And Andy, you know, this is your second year.
Second year.
Yeah, and you were involved in a couple projects, but this one specifically, like, what were you finding in the original challenge being brought to the table?
I think when we were at the original Kickstarter day, this was one of the projects that sort of sung out to us because it's so relevant to not just the sports market, but in live entertainment market and theatrical market and all of these spaces where we're looking at capturing a real performance and distributing it around the world in different ways. So yeah, really sort of resonated with us. But as a challenge, I'll just click through a little bit about what we intended to do, as Christine was just touching on then. The plan was to create an in real life experience. There was going to be an actual MMA combat fight, and we wanted to capture that with motion capture. We're also looking at could we do that with volumetric capture and compare the technologies to see what the result gave us, and also whether we can capture spatial audio. So audio is as important as the visual experience, making sure that we tie these things together. Then we wanted to take all of that data, push that into a real-time engine, and create a digital twin of that experience. And that was placing those fighters inside a virtual world, rendered in real time. And then we could also bring commentators into that, we can bring the audience into that, and we can really make this sort of mixed reality experience using all of this data that we're harvesting in the real experience. We also, as Christine said, wanted to then bring a fan engagement platform into that so that users on different devices spread around the world could interact with that and experience that in different ways, as well as the commentators that are a key part of most sport activations that we obviously do. And then the idea was to create 3 experiences off of that. So building one digital twin of that live experience and allow that to drive a location-based experience at the Alternet. And then also in a VR experience, so how do we use this same platform to create a personal experience? And what does that mean for traditional broadcast? How can we use these assets we're building to drive XR studios, virtual production studios, or traditional broadcast studios? So that's what we set out to do. And then do you want to talk about the pivot?
Yes, I think I was going to talk to Mike about this pivot because, as we know, in the industry of media entertainment, when you're working on these projects, sometimes you do have to be very nimble and the workflows, and especially when you are dealing with a venue. And what kind of things did we see change?
In some respects, it feels like everything changed and nothing changed, because I think we did a good job of sticking to the original brief, but how we were getting there, I think, Christine's talked about the avatars and that, but I think cloud is a particularly interesting one, and I think as an industry, done lots of great work with cloud providers on how cloud can support us in an unlive environment, but cloud for live sport, for live entertainment, still quite a long way to go. I think there's still quite a few challenges. So I think that was a challenge. I think there's lots of work we need to be doing as an industry there. I think audience engagement is one of the things. And on the scale we were operating, and there's more we could have tested if time allowed, but Mookie's quite a strict timekeeper, even
very
over a period
evil.
of months.
I'm very strict.
I wouldn't have said the word evil, just strict. Just strict.
Who is laughing evilly? Some evil cackle wringing your hands and throwing your neck back.
Best pantomime laugh. Because I think
Thank you.
it's about storytelling ultimately, and that's why I think when we wrapped this, it wasn't just an MMA fight. It was within the context of sort of Greco-Roman time. So that storytelling, how you engage with that. Experiences create memories. Memories are what you take away with you. So I think that was really
X
important
that
for
one,
me.
people.
Yeah.
Ting. Yeah.
Awesome. So when we knew we had to be kind of agile, we had to pivot slightly. And so we knew that there was more things to do and important things to do. So we got like some academia papers coming in.
Yeah, and we've got the white paper work to do. I think the whole talent idea, which we'll come on to talk about towards the end. But that's been a really interesting thread throughout a lot of the accelerator programs, and particularly synthetic humans. Audio. Hands up, I used to be an audio engineer. It's the most
You had like a
important
euphoric
thing.
sigh of...
Audio is what creates the emotion. It's what lifts the experience off the goggles if they're an inch away, or off the wall that could be 14 meters away. The challenges and the excitement that brings, I think, for me, was one of the top things.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mike, for that summary. Again, I breathe a massively excited, euphoric sigh of relief when we talk about audio, especially immersive, interactive audio, and how important that is to be thinking about in the storytelling. So this was a common thread, and so if you mind passing the clicker down to Rob, it became so important in our conversations, we decided to make a dedicated work stream to this area to really, really explore. And that was like music to my ears, no pun intended, but there was no music in it. I just want a small caveat to everybody. We do apologize if the copy, if we're like in front of the copy, but this presentation and all 8 presentations will be available on the IBC website page. So each project has its own website page that you can see the results of the proof of concepts, all the presentations, this deck again too. But I do want to pass down to my close personal showbiz friend, Rob Oldfield from Salsa Sound. Rob, welcome. This is your first accelerator too.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Probably not our last, but definitely
That's what we want to hear.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about you and like what your background, and when the ball clicked for you, like we need a separate breakout stream for this. We know that this could be an amazing spine into the full workflow.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my background personally, from an academic point of view, I came out of a PhD from Salford University looking at spatial and immersive audio, and sort of 7 years ago founded a business.
PhD in immersive audio.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Whatever. But the key thing is, about 7 years ago, we founded a company, Salsa Sound, and the remit of that is about using AI to automatically segment spaces and to produce an object-based immersive output. So obviously, for me, this resonated incredibly, and I really wanted to... I think as we discussed, we realised that actually audio is what can bring the emotion, and there's so many things that could be enabled with good audio that kind of tick the boxes of what we wanted to do as part of this project. And so yes, it's about immersive, but actually we wanted to bring the accessibility, the ability to kind of alter the different sources and kind of improve the commentary and make things clearer for people who are struggling with hearing, maybe simplifying a scene so they're not bombarded with a gazillion different sources if that's a struggle for them. So we wanted to bring the accessibility, personalization, like maybe I wanted to have different audio elements because of the location that I was currently based in, and personalization and interactivity. And maybe we were a little bullish in everything we wanted to do, but it became quite apparent that in order to facilitate all of those things, we needed an object-based audio engine.
Absolutely.
And that's been a key to why we developed the audio work stream, because there's a lot of challenges around there that we needed to solve.
Object-based media has been a common theme in the accelerators for years now, especially within the television realm, and it's great that it's gone into these extended realities. So let's talk about what the ambition was for the audio stream here, the next work.
Yeah, so like I say, ambition I think really was to have an experience where people really can totally engage with it wherever they are. We wanted to bring in a fan crowd as well, so no matter where people are distributed in the world, they can actually contribute to it. So contribute to it on site, but also contribute to it on the streamed output. So you might have it's a digital twin, right? So you might have fans on premise, but you also might have people who are watching on their own devices, and that's why, that's where the technology from Hear Me Cheer really came into play, because their platform is able to support 100,000 individual people basically speaking and cheering into their portable devices, and they get aggregated on the server, and therefore you can get this kind of incredible stadium experience that's actually just a combination of like people speaking into their devices at home. So that is a really key to bringing that emotion.
And then on location thinking where SparkUp comes into play. So we're going to get stuck into that, like where they come in.
Sure.
Do you want to talk us through the workflow
some of the just to
sorry.
to point to some of the challenges.
Please.
I guess
Please.
Like object-based audio is always this panacea of wow, we can do everything, and it kind of is. But there is challenge in terms of how you capture that. I think another challenge that we faced on this project was, are there decent kind of formats for delivery of metadata? Because if you've got objects, you need content, but you need metadata. And I would say, just from the outset, that is an ongoing challenge. In terms of timing as well, we've got different sources coming in from different locations. So commentaries, like I say, the fan crowd, the on-prem crowd, the extraction of the actual diegetic sounds. That's a challenge. Have I missed any challenges?
No, but I think you need to say diegetic sounds like 10 times really fast and see what happens.
Not on a Monday.
Before.
So this is the kind of workflow that we originally came up with, and I don't think we deviated hugely from it, but perhaps we might have discovered some more complications along the way, some things that were maybe harder than expected. So we split it into kind of 4 different regions, really. We've got the premise, the edge, the cloud, and then the kind of the end user. And on premise, it's really much a case of object capture, and that's where we came to the party with the kind of the AI extraction of events, actually not just recording a scene, not just treating sound like it's audio, but treating it like it's information, like microphones are sensors. So we wanted to extract all the information that we can, whether that's audio, but also metadata. So we have a triangulation engine in there. At the time, I was particularly keen on an SADM pipe to start doing the immersive audio with the metadata. A lot of those tools, I would say, are still quite immature, and that's given a rocket.
Good reason to try it in an R&D sandbox.
and actually, like as a company, that's really accelerated what we are doing in that space to help kind of broadcasters embrace SADM, which can push forward the next generation audio systems.
On an acronym, please explain SDM.
Serialized ADM, and ADM being the audio definition model. So it's a way of describing objects with audio data, but then also the metadata that accompanies them. And serializing it means that you can do it in real time, and this enables stuff like Dolby Atmos or MPEG-H because they can be derived from this format. It's an interoperability format.
Thank you.
Me later
we were
if you want
trying
more
to
detail.
do like ban all acronyms.
I know, and I was the one saying we should get rid of them. I came up with it. Anyway.
Yeah, so I think what's important, this is this was one of the parts of the original ambition, and it's not too far off with what was achieved. I mean, do you think this is could be rewound and kind of maybe
I think
throw the spaghetti against the wall again?
Yeah, I think probably the things that maybe changed or need to change would be, we can talk to this later, but getting real-time audio and metadata into a game engine, not easy. That's my key takeaway. I'll probably say it about 10 times. It's not easy. And there are different ways of doing it, and there aren't many ways of doing it, and there's certainly not very many ways of getting multi-channel audio in. And that's kind of been one of the takeaways, and I think that's where this diagram was possibly slightly needed a little bit of work.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing that we possibly would still work towards would be the deployment at the end user and kind of delivering an audio experience over multiple devices and enabling technologies like we have from Southampton on the project and University of Surrey, who are doing great stuff with object-based rendering and providing amazing immersive audio experiences over just a tiny
and the
soundbar
room
and
simulation
things like that.
research that
Exactly.
King's College has done. They've been part of the accelerators for a few years now, and I think I announced this yesterday that using some of the learnings from the IBC accelerators, we're able to apply for a grant that they won, almost £4 million research grant. So we're so proud of King's College
it up.
and proud to be a part of that too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think just getting stuck in, if you don't mind, we get with Mike. I mean, explaining what the OuterNet is as a venue, and then if you really, we know that it's run by Unreal Game Engines. So you took us down to MCR and you took us down to the belly of the beast. Learning from your colleagues Nari and the guys that were the engineers, kind of getting under the hood with everything. What did you find as a key? When did you know, like, oh, this needs more work? Trying to get that real time
So I think,
to work.
firstly, I need to shout
To a
out,
venue.
Nari and Jad, who are in my creative technology team. They did all of the hard work.
They're not here.
I just get to come on a plane and get tired in Amsterdam for a few days. It's an interesting one. We prefer real time because actually for us, OuterNet in one of our spaces, we're a 16K resolution immersive experience. Pre-rendered, it's neat, it's far too heavy, it's far too bulky. Actually, real time we like. And on the audio, if you're going from a personalized device and a pair of headphones, I think in the main now space we have 98 channels of audio to play with. It's an L-acoustic system, QSys, Lisa, etc. So I think there are those real challenges which needed real intellectual grunt and real processing grunt behind it. But when you hear it, it's awesome.
Right.
Little aside, first time I heard Dolby Atmos in our space,
Yeah.
I did cry
Oh.
because it was just moving.
Yeah,
Truly was.
But that's what makes loving what we do.
That's
so
that memory and that
exactly.
experience, and we're talking
It made you
about
feel
experience.
something.
Yes.
Exactly, and that's ultimately as creators, whether we're the technologists or the creators, none of this would exist without an audience. None of these conversations.
But I think, as you were saying, it's audio out of real-time gaming is maybe one of the next frontiers.
Yeah, and
that
the game
needs to be
absolutely, and the game engines will step into play even more so. So we know
Because we're
Unity
using the
and
game
Unreal we've been
engines-
working with very closely.
We're not.
Yeah.
We're using them very differently.
Yes.
Now
yes.
we are stressing what they were conceived to be.
Yes.
But they can be really good at what we need them to
Yes,
do. I think
absolutely.
That's the exciting thing.
And they are listening, so we know that they've been champions on a couple of these projects.
Yes.
I mean, Christine, just kind of like wrapping up this section before we kind of go under the hood a little bit further. Thinking of the importance of audio, because you introduced us to Hear Me Chair. We know Spark Up came into play, but Southampton University, University of Surrey, King's College, Trinity College Dublin, RVPA, Bowie State University are all coming with a wealth of knowledge around immersive interactive audio and how important that is to be implementing at the beginning of the project.
Right. Well, the key thing with audio, with any video is, and I'm sure most people here would agree, you can have great video, but if you have terrible audio, you'll lose your audience. You can have okay video, but if you have really good audio, then you'll be able to keep your audience. But we're trying to do more than that. We're trying to create a sense of presence. And the audio part of that really is key. So,
Absolutely.
and it's really important that it feels like you're really there. And that's the most important
Yes.
thing, is that what we're trying to show has a real visceral feel. And that sound is a really important part of it.
Yeah, and that's regardless if it was going to be an HMD headset, head-mounted display. Thank you very much.
You.
Or thank you very much. Or inside an LBE, location-based entertainment, location-based experience too. So if you don't mind passing that clicker down, Andy, I'm going to come back to you and reveal the warts and all moments that we had together, crying for various reasons, but mostly happy ones. Mostly happy ones. And what D&B Solutions brought to the table in White Light was not only your area of expertise within the sound realm and, furnishing most of the West End's London theaters, but also, the lighting and the end-to-end production of what needed to come into play for this project. So take it away, please.
Yep, absolutely. So yeah, D&B Solutions, we're an integrator, specialist integrator, technical solutions supplier. So we're sort of the glue, I guess, between a lot of technologies, and we build a lot of immersive experiences. So that's sort of where we come to the party. So when we decided to actually do the in real life experience, the proof of concept, we used one of our facilities in Reading where the fighters were. So we actually did a real-time live capture of several groups of fighters in the space. We did that with sort of over a 2-day experience.
And there's Marco from Vodafone making us coffee, by the way.
He makes incredible tea.
One of our champions.
big
He's
shout out
providing
to
the
Marco.
edge in the 5G, and he decided to get stuck in. I'm glad he made the final slide.
And then we used a technology called movers to do the motion capture. So we couldn't put MMA fighters inside inertial tracking suits, right? It would be too restrictive for them when they're doing this live combat. We need to do this in really high frame rates. So we actually captured this at 120 hertz using the movers platform. So this is a markerless skeletal tracking system. It's using multiple cameras in an array. You can see we made an array of 8 cameras around the fighters, and we use those cameras to create live skeletal tracking data of the fighters. So that gave us live motion capture data in real time, 120 hertz of those fighters. Then the next step of that was to capture the audio. So we've captured the fighters in a real-time way. How do we now capture the audio? So we used Rob's fantastic Salsa Sound platform to capture that. So we had an array of microphones in the space. They basically created like a homogenized audio capture solution that then allowed us to do object extraction and auto mixing. So AI-based auto mixing out of that platform creates audio stems of the different objects we're seeing in the space and can create the metadata of where those objects are as well. So that gave us live motion capture data and gave us audio data without needing to fit microphones to people, without needing to put suits on, and we could do that in a sort of non-invasive way. Then the guys from Vodafone, Marco, who makes fantastic tea, and his team provided a solution for us to take that data from Reading and take that out to the cloud over 5G. So our only connection to the outside world was a 5G Vodafone solution. So all of that data is leaving Reading over 5G into the cloud. Then we used AMD, fantastic sponsor of the program. AMD provided hardware for us to render that into Engine. So we're then taking all of this data that's coming in from an audio and a video perspective, taking that into Unreal Engine, driving some metahumans inside the Unreal Engine, and creating that inside an immersive experience that Christine's team produced inside a virtual world. It's probably worth just saying at this point, you might notice a difference from ambition versus what we actually did, that there's no volumetric capture. We decided that during the process, partly through shifts of people and part of the pivot, but also down to limitations of technology and what's possible and what quality in real time. The Movers platform gave us a great solution to doing that for our proof of concept. And we also took the audio data from the Salsa platform into the cloud. So we end up with these audio stems and these fighters that are in the Unreal Engine. That was where the guys from King's College and University of Southampton came into the thought process. So they were fantastic to have those involved in the conversations. Rob touched on the audio work stream that we created as a standalone work stream. Some of the conversations that we were having in that work stream about how to do this and how to solve the challenges of pushing audio in and out of real-time engines. It was amazing to have the guys from Southampton and King's College involved in those conversations, thinking about how do we deliver to their solutions. So we're really excited to carry on those conversations. Then we zoom out from all of that. We created this experience as doing a live digital twin of the experience in the cloud in Engine. And then how do we actually experience that? So Mike and Mike's team at Alternet are fantastic, sitting on the other end of what we were sending out of Reading. And they were listening to that data that was coming in and then using that to render on premises at the Alternet into Unreal Engine, driving a fantastic LED volume, which allowed us to stand in the space and actually experience this and understand what does that experience look like as an LBE. Obviously, one of the challenges, as Mike said, is Alternet is a huge video canvas. Driving this in real time and getting this data in is a challenge. So it was good to explore that. And there's only so much you can do in a day. So I think that's probably.
You can kind of see the visuals here. This is a 4-story 8K. How many
So
pixels?
The fight is coming out of
Yes.
the AMD grunt power through Unreal.
Grunt
into-
power.
Grunt power into 8K, native 8K.
Native
so
8K.
it's big,
Right.
bigly.
You heard it here first, people.
Big.
IBC's been talking about 8K for 10 years now. We were talking about here's the use case. Here's the use case. Yeah, go ahead. We'll come back to these.
Yeah, we can come back to some of this. Yeah, so also the other element that was a big part of the project was this fan engagement. So how do we bring people in from a range of devices from all across the world to actually have a meaningful way of engaging with the experience? So Hear Me Cheer and Spark Up. We took the Hear Me Cheer audio that you were hearing about earlier, which is a way of aggregating audio from a large audience on personal devices. And we took that into Spark Up, which is a remote collaboration platform. But it's allowing people to on their device, connect as an object, connect as a visual, real participant in that experience, and bring that virtual crowd, if you like, into the space so they can all be part of that active experience. And you'll see fantastic in that visual up there that you can see the Spark Up platform bringing all these remote people into the space as a live audience. Hear Me Cheer feeding into that to create that sense of scale from the audio perspective of the audience. So we were able to bring that into the Alternet as well. And that's something that we want to continue developing and thinking about. Some of these challenges that we keep talking about in terms of pushing audio in and out of engine, latency, and keeping everything in sync. We've got a long way to go with this, but it was a good way of exploring.
Exactly, and you wanted to have some like an audience and focus groups there, but we still wanted to be tweaking the little moving parts on that too. But that'll come one day because there's so many of these moving parts, and that's what it's about the learnings of what you get from that, what worked, what didn't work, what needs to be done next.
Exactly.
Yeah, please continue. Thank you.
So the last piece of this is the commentators that we said in that early vision that we wanted to bring them in as part of it. I think ideally with more time, we would have done that in a more immersive way, bringing them in as teleports or something in-engine. We actually had them as the proof of concept on a Zoom call. So we brought them in on a Zoom call, but they were still able to commentate live on the fight that they were watching. So the commentators were in the US. The fight was happening in Reading in the UK, and they were able to commentate on that fight, and then we were pushing that back into the platform. So that's something that we want to continue building on.
We wanted to just quickly touch. There was also like the mover systems coming in from San Francisco and Pakistan. So this was truly the I in IBC International. Yeah. What happened on the proof of concept on the 2 days that we were able to have access to the internet? Thank you so much. Before and plugging things into the full workflow end to end went beyond that workflow. We didn't even include the remote help that we needed from some of the partners, colleagues in this project.
Yeah, and the final piece of this is the talent ID, which we mentioned at the beginning. We probably approached this on the proof of concept upside down, inside out. It's something that you would consider very early on in the process, and we ended up sort of doing it on the proof of concept, but that was something that became integral part. We'll talk about that in a lot more detail in a moment.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Do you want to see we'll have a look at what we actually managed to create on the day. So this is a little behind the scenes clip of the Alternet. It runs full screen.
Thank you very much. The lights down. Please.
So you can see the skeletal tracking data.
Through movers.
Through movers, happening all in real time. Exporting that skeletal data into the cloud.
You're seeing the whole workflow with an iPhone video, basically.
And Marco waving in the background.
Marco,
stop, yeah.
Not only does our head of Vodafone Group make great tea, he's a good timekeeper.
So this is showing what the morning of the proof of concept, what we were seeing in the Alternet. You might only see one fighter there. We'll gloss over that for the moment. You always need more time. And they were skeletons rather than the full metahumans, again, because of weight of moving files around and the time and everything we had. But that was really looking at the connectivity and the speed of what we could do.
Absolutely. So now let's kind of see the final results. If you pass to Christine, please. And let's just play this video first, Christine, I think, and then we can you're going to talk through this video. So one more lights down, please. So if you don't mind talking us through what's going on. Thanks.
Okay, so what we have here are the digital twins of our fighters that were created starting on the day of the fight. There are a couple of things going on here with the retargeting. What you saw earlier was a skeleton. The skeleton was the initial sort of dummy character so that we could get the data transmitted to the outer net. Then that was retargeted to these metahumans so that then the data would drive the metahumans. What you also see here with the sort of tracers on the hands is an element of human performance tracking or human performance analysis,
Yeah.
where we're able to track the hand speed and foot speed for these fighters and have that be part of the post-fight analysis.
Tell us some more how that works, because that's through our friends in California. If you don't mind, you can rewind again and play that one more time through RVPA,
Maybe?
and then click again. There we go.
There we
We're
go.
just gonna roll VT one more time.
Right. So we're working with a group in California. RVPA is the Regional Virtual Production Academy. It's a consortium of 6 community colleges in Northern California. And they've been really, really helpful, especially in...
Coming in at quite like three-quarters of the way through the project too. Yeah.
Yeah, in the 11th hour, their team worked really diligently to try and get the metahumans that we created connected to the motion capture data. So it was, there are definitely some learnings on how fast it is to create a digital likeness that you actually can recognize as the person. But the intention is for that to be, a lot faster, and to be able to do that before the fight is actually captured.
Absolutely. Obviously, this is R&D. Nothing is finished of these projects, as you're seeing. It's experimental. We're learning what to do next.
Right.
So when it does need to be deployed in the real world, we're kind of a little bit of that too. So I think when we were chatting with movers, who again kind of came in about halfway through the project, again, the pivots came from, new members coming into play, kind of like understanding what we need to do. But what's really great about Dorian and the movers team is they jumped on a plane, landed at Heathrow, ran to the Reading, set up the rig, and captured. And the guy didn't even sleep, dude. And then we're in touch with his colleagues in Pakistan, making sure there were no glitches and nothing running. But, just to recap that, the information coming from RVPA through the movers is, the digital twin metahuman fighters, this little mini workflow with my little carrots that I put up here, into the fight arena level. The movers BVH data, BVH acronym quizzes, BVH data.
Something that Dorian made up.
Oh, he made it up. Okay, fine. Converted to the FBX animation, retargeted on Unreal. Niagara, another software platform, analytical graphics running on the hands and the feet. So if anyone here, hands up, is anyone creating avatars, human avatars at the moment, or interested in? Some of the trickiest parts are the joints. It's always the joints: fingers, hands, feet, toes. Try to put real time. I'm laughing so hard, I'm spitting. Try to put real-time data to that, and that's where you run into the really, really interesting elements around what happens when you are trying to sequence and piece things together too. So I just want to kind of pause here, and the previous 10 slides kind of cover a little bit of what we were kind of chatting about too here. So do we want to kind of rewind slightly on some of these slides and go back to any further learnings around that mocap and what you wanted to do with the athletes? And Christine, you and your team, we're building some worlds here. We're building some fan experiences. How important is it to you to be creating, accurate, authentic athletes?
It's very important. Part of the goal here is for our fans to engage not just with each other, but with the fighters. So they want to see that fighter looks like, the avatar, and vice versa. So if they can't recognize the fighter as the person that they're rooting for, then it breaks the illusion and it doesn't give the experience that we're trying to deliver. So yeah, we spend a fair amount of time working on making those characters really look like those fighters.
And the data with the movers, Andy, you spent the time there with them in Reading. What else was happening on the day, the nitty gritty? behind?
I mean, to be honest, the team did a fantastic job at literally arriving early doors in the morning and setting that system up. We were pretty amazed at how
They
quickly
literally
that
flew
got
into
set up and
Heathrow,
worked.
got off the plane, and ran to Reading. It was so impressive.
Yeah, and hours later we were seeing some data coming in. So that was pretty impressive, having seen other solutions. I think the challenge was you always need more time, right? So we've said several ways for this project. Things come together quite late in the day, particularly in the summer when everyone's busy, and then you're seeing some of this stuff for the first time, and you're reacting live, trying to make these things work and retarget and look at what's coming in from that data. So you could always do more time. I think if the project went on for another month, you'd end up with a very different solution to where we are now. But that's part of the accelerators, is meeting the people on the project and then working out what you do next. Like, we've got hundreds of ideas of stuff that we want to do from an audio perspective.
Yeah, of
we've got no
course.
time to do it. So,
Of course. So, Rob, I want to loop back to you on the audio aspects too. So maybe if you want to pass the clicker, you're welcome to go back to these specific slides and just kind of fish through them. I'm not sure what number it is. And especially around the integration of, how there was like a mini consortium coming together within the audio with Southampton, Kings, and where these connectivity was coming into play. What were the most important things standing out for you in these learnings?
Well, one, I think, really challenging thing is to be able to do the live stream of real-time audio plus the metadata. And because, like I mentioned, there was a lack of available tools, and we then had to develop our own, which I think is a great outcome of the accelerator. So now our software is a whole lot more versatile than it used to be, and we developed a whole...
Which is what the Accelerators is for
exactly.
you to get some learnings from the
It was
group.
a big takeaway from us. So we integrated native SRT streaming within our software now, and we had to encode metadata in audio streams to send it via SRT. So that was a kind of a hack around.
Was that a first?
Workaround?
Was it first?
Yes, basically.
Was it?
So first for us, certainly. And it's not necessarily how we would do it forever, but at the moment that seemed like a sensible approach.
And what we did is, so we'd have all of these groups. We have a weekly team meeting. There's Slack groups happening, and behind the scenes, the audio team were getting together and running mini hackathons between themselves to really try to figure it out.
Yeah.
Break it, put it back together. Break it, put it back together.
Yeah, that was fantastic. Streaming audio to each other over real time over wide area network, just to try out stuff and experiment was. That's fantastic, and that
big shout out to Will.
Will,
in the audience.
big
Yeah,
shout out to
Will Draffin from White Light.
who basically pioneered that whole thing.
Yeah, and the second, if you're ever in an R&D group, like, let's have a hackathon, everyone goes crazy. Rolls out
we
the
were
sleeping
mad for
bag
it.
under
It was
their
brilliant.
desk.
Best day of the accelerator for us, that was.
Excellent.
But I know, honestly, the fruits of that still live on, and our Mixair software literally contains that. If you go into our booth, we are talking about it all the
Absolutely.
time. So
Can we give a
it's
shout?
thing.
What stand are you at? What you got? You are exhibiting
We are in
here.
Hall 8,
Hall 8?
B77.
Which one?
B77.
B77. So after this, we want everyone to kind of go behind the wall and meet the team. There's going to be some specific demos. Christine's got her full team here. We have Spark Up is here. Hear Me Cheer is here. So you're going to dive a little bit deeper into some of these certain areas. And Mike, you're going to stick around again too. I just want to, if you don't mind, passing the clicker and just touching on the evolution of the venue, the evolution of the location. So many people in this room, we've worked on award shows, we worked on events, and sometimes you forget about a broadcast, a piece of content has to, you have to end up somewhere. Is that your phone? Is that going to be Piccadilly Circus? What were the most important parts for you to understand as CTO of a major venue like this?
I think for me, it's how it all comes together, because you want to create that immersive experience that has a lot of commonality. So maybe you've experienced one of the fighting bouts on a personal device, and then you find yourself, or you've got a ticket to something that's more shared in real life.
Yeah.
And immersive. It needs to feel familiar. I think it's also about how you're using assets. What you don't want is a completely different set of assets for each platform. It's something actually we found with some of our clients. We've had Paramount do some launches there, and we find now that not just if they film something on an XR stage, and then it gets rendered, creates a bit of VT, which gets streamed as a new Star Trek or whatever. We're finding that those assets from the XR stage are coming into our space with a new independent life as the backdrop for whatever it is people want to do. So I think...
and that's running through the Unreal Game Engine in the belly of your TX beast.
So we use when we built the Outernet, and we've only been live since November, we didn't know how people wanted to use it. So I liken it to a digital theatre. If you go into a theatre, there is a base level of tech, lighting, sound, kinetic stages, and then you can add to it. You can bring in your own sound system. So actually what we have is, from a video point of view and that real time, our base platform is actually Ventus. Because we operate, I think it's about 20 engines that run the Now space at 16K. Ventus does stay in sync with itself without needing a team of engineers constantly. But what we're able to do is bring Unreal. So when we had the picture up with
there we go.
In that space, we've got Ventus, but it's just a great big empty window that says play something else here, and then we feed Unreal into it at full scale. And that also means we can bring Unity in. We can layer things. We can put Unity on top of...
Dare we say interoperable, Mike?
I'm not sure if I'd go as far as a big announcement as interoperable, but coexisting.
That's an accelerator challenge for next year. Just interoperability, full stop. That's it.
But I think we've got coexistence, which is giving designers and talent the ability to go, Unreal's great for this, Unity's great for that. I'm really looking forward to the day when we get an artist who goes, I've written my own engine. There is probably, and we not far off, and we have worked with. We did an experience for Mental Health Week around social anxiety. That artist built something in Unity, but then rebuilt it using a mix of Ventus and Unreal, so that they could sort of really exploit the platform.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that, because I think if you're not there at the venue, it's a little bit tricky. And I do apologize. We should have probably put a gigantic picture of what was happening at the Outernet instead of a tiny little square. However, please meet us at the pod afterward. And if you are in London, just go to Tottenham Court Road and you go to the top of the escalator. It's right there. You can't miss it.
It's you on the...
So you might be able to see that right there in person. So if you don't mind passing the clicker down, we're just going to kind of progress with it. We touched on, we're talking about the avatars and synthetic humans. If any of you were here around our synthetic humans for entertainment and accessibility session yesterday, thank you for coming and exploring the pod that way. But we did also have another a participant coming in about halfway through the program, talent. Hand ID and hand identity, and this is where we are, making us realize, we were talking about things at the beginning, and we are creating digital twins and digital assets and synthetic humans and synthetic digital twins and digital humans and digital athletes and things that happen with it, especially if they're going to be interactive and potentially interoperable. We do think about that protecting, knowing that an athlete or the talent owns ownership of their own IP. We talk about these things in our XR production worlds way before there was an actor strike, and we're sorry that's happening, but we're also not sorry because it is bringing it to people's attention. So what Hand ID brings to the table, is that opportunity to create the scanning and labeling and the safeguarding around, a human face, a digital face and an animated type of face. So we wanted to share a little bit of this workflow with you that does go through, the providence and the guard against the deep fakes, and how the metadata and the tagging is so important, and really thinking about, what happens with the talent's royalty and the residuals and the participation. And this kind of software is able to track it. So we wanted to include this in our session just to emphasize that this is part of the project and it's part of the exploration. It does definitely not stop here, but thinking about that security, so you can kind of see how that works like a little bit too. We're all nodding our heads because we know how important this is, but even in your space, working with the, these XR stages, and you're working with the West End Theatre, and people are talking about it. Yeah. What's going on in what's going on your side of the fence there with ID and identity?
Anywhere there's an artist that's being recreated in some form, being able to sort of own that and own your own IP is a challenge, and it's been a challenge for quite a while in the sports market, particularly around like rights holders and ownership of digital versions of sports athletes and stuff. And I think now we're seeing sort of that being really taken at a much wider level. So yeah, it was really exciting. Something that we hadn't delved that much into, but were sort of forced into it through the accelerator, and then suddenly you realise the importance of it. And that's one of the great things of the accelerators is it forces conversations that you may not be thinking about otherwise.
Absolutely. And I just want to a nod out to Will. Thank you for joining this program. He's right there. He's going to be doing some demos also. Birthed out of ITER, who were a participant in some of the projects that we've had over the years, about that and the importance of that data and the citations and things like that. We talk about this all the time, and I think especially wherever we are in these worlds of XR production and real production, it's important to kind of go through that. Did you have anything going through your head there, Mike? Yeah.
A couple of things. I think industry, how we describe experiences. I remember the first time I went to see ABBA Voyage, which is the new, ABBA brought back to youth. I was going to say brought back to life. They're all still brought back to performance. Is talking to some of the team there about how you described that. Then if you did the same maybe with Elvis, do you describe that as the same experience? Because ABBA were mo-capped.
Yes.
They had
Very
Wayne
important.
McGregor,
Yes.
doing their dance and all of that stuff, and they got a live band, which is very different to if you then recreate
Yes.
someone. So again, how you describe it, what you're selling, but then also that ownership, because that's ABBA. Elvis isn't around to be mo-capped. And I
Absolutely.
think there's something else going back to theatre. My personal insight, my daughter's just left the Brit School. It's a performing arts and production arts sort of sixth form, 16 to 18 school in the UK. They teach costume design, set design, and talking to a couple of the students there, and they were saying, well, I'm a costume designer. I'm going to be out of a job because it's all digital. And you go, no, because
Need you and your
you need to
craft.
be maybe a digital
It's craft,
costume designer,
yes.
a digital makeup artist. But if you're going to create, there wasn't a lot of costume on those fighters, but still those garments need to flow. They need to be designed. I think it's something that came up yesterday on the synthetic humans around
Yes.
the Maria Callas
Yes.
dress and that. So and if you're going to be, that's going to be effectively on a big screen, whether it's literally a big screen or on goggles. It's really got to look. So
Absolutely.
the skills that
Absolutely.
we're bringing, I think it's going to have a really interesting impact.
Absolutely. And there are different workflows for a posthumous human versus a real human.
Yes.
Which again, these accelerators, all 8 of them, there's little bits that intertwine. Andy, you're a participant in 3 of the projects. You see some champions being part of multiple projects. You were also part of the 5G motion capture for live performance project, Mike, at the OuterNet. And that's, the motion capture through real-time motion capture with dance and
Yes.
ballet and things that are what needs to be broadcast with that type of motion. So all of these learnings do intertwine toward the greater legacy into that too. And I would love to we have had accelerators that are dedicated to sound, and synthetic voice. We can touch on that and the idea of an audio. Rob,
deal.
quick soundbite on that one, please.
Well, it's huge, isn't it?
Yes, it's Matt Jungle,
Have you seen the work coming out of Respeecher, where they're able to
who are participant in the other project? Yes,
they're completely able to clone people's voices with permission, and I think that's a fantastic opportunity. And then I guess you've got the other side of that is when people are able to do it without permission, which is a challenge for industry.
Exactly. So Respeech have been a participant in for a couple of years. Where they're a small Ukrainian company still working in Ukraine, and we support them. But we're able to bring Maria Callas's voice to life in that project too. So as we're kind of into this home stretch, guys, thank you again so much for all the time and effort that you've put into this project and all of the consortiums and involved in this project. A really, really massive one. The key learnings we've been kind of touching on over the last 10 minutes, but this is, the little bit of a snapshot summary about the latency, the sync time, so far off of perfection here, but that's okay. WebSocket challenges, again, the VPNs that used, audio into real-time engines. I can't wait to explore that even more with you guys here. And then just we all know the file sizes are massive. They're huge. It's prohibitive. It's clunky. This is the beginning of trying to, what can cloud do? What can edge do? we still know that those explorations into play and the learnings around the render power and hearing, and then we do cover, what are we learning about ID or around some of the metadata around these real times. SMPTE we talk to all the time. SMPTE are an owner of IBC. We're able to go, hello, SMPTE, Ms. SMPTE, gender neutral SMPTE. You know what? We need to work on this, and it's time. It's time to. And so I think we know that we've got some further exploration to go. Christine, I want to just kind of kick off with you. Trinity College Dublin, we cannot give them enough credit because they've been involved for a few years now as a champ. Yes, where's my Irish? We're all Irish today. Okay. Trinity College Dublin been working so hard on this research and development for the last 10, 15 years. And, they're coming into play. And now this group has a lot of academia involved. Tell us a bit more about what the paper that we hope to produce in the next month or so. I've just given you a deadline.
Thank you. So we do have a pretty robust percentage of our team from the academic institutions all around the world. One of the things that we did with Trinity, Gareth Young at Trinity is leading the charge on the academic paper, which is great. We also met with him in Dublin to do some testing on the inertial-based suit and to draw a comparison between how you can use an inertial-based suit for motion capture, which works great. No complaints about that at all. The only question is when you're actually doing a fight, or when two fighters who are meaning to win a fight are hitting each other, you can't have those sensors, right? So we're into the markerless motion capture, but we are still planning to use the suit-based type of data for things like demonstrations, for other types of learnings like how to compare how the characters are able to stay in place, so the foot plant on the ground, and the details on the tracking and the accuracy of the placement of one person versus the other person. So there is a place for all of those. And one of the things we're trying to do with the academic paper is to really dig deep into different types of motion capture and how they're best used, because they all have a place. Even though we're not necessarily using all of them in this part of the proof of concept, we are planning to do more, both with the academic paper and with future versions of the proof of concept.
Yeah, absolutely. And the research just doesn't stop there too. So hopefully we'll be able to, publish what we can. And again, this will be all on the IBC website page of this project page. So you can be able to, it's all open knowledge sharing. You can have access to all of these materials and get in touch. Yes.
Sorry, and I just wanted to mention one other thing, is that because the audio is such a key part of this project, we will be working or continuing to work with King's College in Southampton.
Absolutely.
To make sure that the spatial audio element is also being highlighted here.
Fantastic stuff. Thank you so much. And Mike, back to you. Just like the key learnings, what's the messaging back to the industry, especially? It's a big old end-to-end pipeline.
It was the end-to-end pipeline.
Right, should I drop the mic? Right? No, okay.
I'm done. Nothing was end-to-end. Actually, understand it's very easy sometimes in R&D to look at things chunked up, to actually run something through the pipeline all around the globe and back to locations. I think it showed it can work. There wasn't a lot of smoke and mirrors on that bit, so that was really important learning for us.
Cool. Thank you again so much to you and your team.
Pleasure.
Amazing bunch of engineers down under the belly of the beast of the outernet. We can't not thank you enough. What's that?
I might even tell them that.
Yeah, we love you, Nari. We love you, Jed. Who's watching this? Where's the recording? And Rob, obviously the big spine of audio that's coming into this. We know there's a lot to do, but what do you feel is the big key learning?
Big key learning is we need protocols for metadata, and we need to be able to do things in real time that are sensible. I forgot to say, but the way that we did get real-time audio into the game engine was by using an NDI stream per channel. So if you want 16 channels of audio, you have to actually do 16 NDI streams. And that is clearly an inefficient way of doing.
Look at his little face light up, though. He loves it.
We did it.
He loved that
Well,
hackathon.
I mean, and I say we. I mean, Will was huge in doing that. But it's clearly an inefficient way of doing things. So we need. I think for me, the key thing is live.
Yes.
We can do all this stuff, and we can create an amazing experience offline. And we've seen so many innovations in the last year on that.
Yes.
But game engines are a way bigger tool than that, and we're seeing so much more of them being used in live, but we just don't have the tools. And I think for me, audio really illustrated that. But it's not just audio; it's in general. We need real-time access to
Absolutely, and that will continue for sure too. I mean, Andy, you guys again been a massive rock for this project, and we can't thank you enough. And also, just like a big giant whoop whoop big up to White Light soundstage here.
They're all busy.
They're ignoring me. That's fine. They're all hung over around the corner, hiding under the LED. They're hiding in a pixel somewhere, right? You guys, again, 3 projects, but this one we know you were so passionate about. Thank you again for lending your expertise. What's the big takeaway for you that you're just excited to continue to think about?
Good question. I think actually the fact that we were involved in 3 projects is probably the most exciting thing from this year, because it's been really interesting to see that each project's focused on a different thing, or we've taken different learnings for each one. So particularly like the 5G mocap one, it was all about latency for us. Our biggest involvement in the project was just driving down and down and down latency at every single granular part of the chain. You take that learning and you put that into this project and the synthetic human project, and you start gluing these things together, and all of the accelerators are pushing things forward. So, we're just excited for what next year holds, because we'll continue to doing that. But in between now and then, we've got great, 5.
Wait, those are like 2 groups have said, we have 5 accelerator projects to do. I'm like, great. Can I sleep first? Thanks. That would be awesome. Yeah, so there are going to be some live demos here and back at the pod. And then this is the project page if we all scan it, but please go see the team. Thank you so much again to Mike, to Rob, to Christine, to Andy. Thank you, everybody. It's been an amazing IBC, and we can't thank you enough for your support and your being open-minded and knowledge sharing and collaboration with the IBC accelerators. And the open call will start to go out in about a week's time. So if you are a champion, which is the broadcasters, large tech companies, studios, academia, you can apply to pitch your challenge, and then wonderful vendors and suppliers and the participants will be swarming around your projects, and we can put it to good use next year for IBC 2024. My name's Mimuki. Thank you so much again, everybody. Have a great rest of your day at day 4. Thank you to my AV team and Duncan, by the way. Keep the applause going. We couldn't have done it without you guys. So thank you, everybody. Good night. Good day. Goodbye.